What's going on, guys, and welcome to round 4 of the FIA Manufacturers Championship, season 2 of course. So this is a race for Group 4 cars at Dragon Trail Seaside, and as you can see the room looks to have frozen. Fantastic. So this is me chatting to a few friends who I've got, one of them in the race, another one who I know is trying to enter one at the same time, just seeing how they're getting on, chatting to Trevisio, seeing if he's got the same screen, but he said he blue screen, so that's when I knew I wasn't going to come back. And yeah, there we go. Seen this a lot recently. Pretty annoying. So yeah, that's been Gran Turismo over the last few days, unfortunately. So here we go then, 13 laps of Dragon Trail Seaside. Should be pretty competitive in the 458 to be honest, but I'm going to struggle on the brakes and getting it turned in on the brakes. It's pretty poor on the brakes and it just suffers from understeer. Exit from low speed corners is good though, I've got good traction in second and third. Fine really everywhere else. It's just the high speed understeer really where this car really suffers, which it shouldn't do as well. It's a mid-engine car. There's no real reason why it should have that much understeer. It's just the way it's set up. But we're looking to have a positive race, and this race we can talk about the new penalties a bit as well, because they've been tweaked a little bit midway through this season. I touched on it in the last video, but we're going to see some good examples of it in action, I think, this race. The main things to be aware of are the fact that small little knocks here and there when cars are racing should no longer result in a penalty for either driver. We're going to see that this race, and that's a good thing. And I got a 10-second penalty as well for some slight contact, but I think I deserve it. We can have a little look and analyse the incident. I've slowed it down a bit, I think, in the video, because at the time I felt like I deserved it. When I've actually gone back and looked, I do everything right really. I lift before my normal braking point, I brake where I would do normally, but because I don't slam on the brakes, I sort of bleed them in incrementally, and the guy in front of me slams on. I couldn't really do anything to avoid it, so we got it didn't hit him off the track or anything like that. It was just a little tap, but it was enough for a 10-second penalty. We'll see it, and you guys let me know what you think. Like I say, at the time I felt like I deserved it, but looking back, well, I mean, I still did. I still hit the guy, so just because I'm lifting and I'm braking at my normal point doesn't matter. The only point of contention is whether he maybe braked slightly too soon or slightly too sharp. But it could just be that that's how he brakes in the GTR, you know. I think the only thing is, I think he probably went a bit conservative because there were so many cars around, and I maybe didn't go conservative enough. But you guys will see. Let me know what you think. But yeah, it was a shame because the penalty did pretty much ruin the race for me, which kind of sounds like we've been there before, doesn't it? But I mean, like I say, I mean, I sort of deserve it. I do hit this guy from behind, so it's coming up now. I'm gonna drink some tea. And it's good that I've got the cone markers up actually, because you can see exactly where my brake markers are. So there's the lift, and I just can't slow it down enough. The Ferrari's not good enough on the brakes. So let's watch it. So keep an eye on the left. Look, I've lifted already. Look, I'm not on the throttle. I've started to brake, and I just can't slow it down enough. Look how slow I am here though. So it's not like it's not really typical sort of, because normally if it's an action worth penalising, I would have, you know, carried on deep into that corner, and I would have only made the corner because of the bump I gave that guy. But I think you can see there I was clearly going to make the corner. But I mean, I did tap a car from behind, and it did look to knock him off his line a little bit. So I mean, I think it was a deserved penalty, that one, to be honest. And I think it's very easy, especially now the climate is that if anyone gets a penalty, it's always the game's fault. It's not your fault. Whereas I think that one could have been my fault, to be honest with you. Like I say, even though I've already lifted, and even though I brake at my normal point, it obviously wasn't enough to avoid the contacts in there. I should have lifted earlier or braked sooner and harder. So I think it's a deserved penalty. It was unfortunate because it's ruined my race and it didn't really seem to affect his much. But you know, that's racing, and that's the way it goes. I don't think that's evidence of the system being broken, in my opinion. I think if anything, it's evidence of the system working quite well. It's just unfortunate that I had to test it this way around. I didn't do too much practice for this race either. I spent most of my time practicing the Group 1 nations because I felt like, well, I'm not really going to get many returns. If I say I spend an hour practicing this race, yeah, I'd probably be a bit more confident and have some quicker laps of the qualifying. But I think if I invest that hour instead practicing with Group 1 at Maggiore, and in the end, you know, that paid off quite well because I changed the car that I was originally going to use, which wouldn't have happened if I hadn't practiced. I'd have been in the 2016 R10, which probably wouldn't have been a better choice. So I discovered the 2011 one for that race just because I spent the time practicing it. And I think just because the cars are faster, the track's a bit more complex, I think it just paid off to invest the time practicing that race more than this one. Seaside's not a track that I know that well, but the cars are Group 4, so straightforward enough. It's a big wide track as well. This is the best part of the whole track though. Obviously I lifted early there because there's a lot going on in front. I'm not sure what was going to go on. You might say that was too cautious, but watching a lap or so and watch what happens when I'm not so cautious through there. So it's worth giving cars a bit of space sometimes. So we've got this Jag up the inside, but we're going to hold it around the outside and hope that the Ferrari's got power over the Jag. Looks like it has. This is going to get a bit interesting now, so keep an eye on the radar. We know we've got this guy to the right, but look at his car coming up from behind. So we're 3 wide, almost 4 wide. The car in 10th, it looked like he could have left a bit more room from the way. I think I had to back out of it, otherwise I would have hit him. Luckily, actually, with the penalty system, it wouldn't have mattered too much. But I think because we went into that corner, there was almost 2 rows of 2 cars. He was the first row, I was obviously the second. I'm not sure he left me enough room. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's still got this penalty as well, so there's not really too much point me racing hard here. That's probably another reason why I didn't force the issue at that corner. Because really I need to just drop back and surf this penalty. I'm only losing time here as well anyway. So busy on track, you can't drive at your maximum. I mean, what we're going to do here, can't really get past either of these guys, can I? Had to lift. So if I'm lifting, I might as well be serving the penalty. Yeah, and there we go. I think that's a good decision, good call. Right, so 17th. We'll skip a lap ahead, see if we can make some of those places back. That was very tight. See how he was sort of serving his penalty on the racing line compared to how I did it the lap prior. You see the difference it makes as well. Pretty much the same thing happened. I had, you know, 2-3 cars overtake me while I was serving a penalty, but the difference was is they weren't impeded through the chicane because I was serving it on a piece of track where ordinarily a car isn't going to be, whereas he was serving it right where I needed to be for the turn-in. So 15th, not really very good. Need some good points in this race because I haven't done the last 2 manufacturers races either, so I need to make the most out of every race I enter now. I think several cars in front have penalties, but unless anyone's got a big one, a big whopper like we got, which I don't think they will, as this guy slides off the track, I don't think it's going to matter really. They'll probably just go up a couple of seconds here and there, so I need to really do my overtaking on track, catch up with these guys. I should be good on fuel. The Ferrari's pretty decent on fuel. You don't really need to fuel save too much with it in Group 4. Same with the tyres. So this is the phase in the race where I'd expect the 458 to start making some ground, especially on cars like the Megane Trophy. They will have taken more out of their tyres, almost certainly. But yeah, I think this race was lost really with the qualifying. But like I said, I just chose to spend more time practicing for the nations. I'm just happy to get whatever points I get for this race. Really, to be honest, I was just happy to make it into the race. By this point, I spent all night, it felt, trying to do this race. Bit too deep there, might just be starting to struggle, well not struggle but notice the effect of tyre wear a little bit maybe. Nicely there. If you take that curb on the outside on the first entrance, it just helps rotate the car in because it's cambered a little bit. It's just enough. It just really helps just send the car through that first part of the chicane. Once everyone pretty much dives into the pits. Alright, so end of the first stint, half race distance. Let's go. So we're expecting to be quicker than that Megane Trophy on the straight, but certainly sector 2 and pretty much anywhere where there's corners really, he's going to be very fast. Particularly the slower stuff like here. But he'll be getting held up a bit by the looks of it, catching a group of cars here, so what can we do? So we should get the run on in here, but it's going to be difficult to send it up the inside here. So best just to sort of tuck in, see if he makes a mistake, try and get him down the hill into the hairpin. Should be fairly straightforward. He'll be good on the brakes though, and we're pretty weak on the brakes, so... But look, we're just straight past him before the corner. Now, some people would come in, tuck in left there, thinking it's their track because they've made the overtake. It's not, you know. That car needs to brake somewhere, and currently you're on the inside, so that outside bit is his braking point, so don't move back across. Stay in the middle, and leave him the space to brake. Megan's in the slipstream, but as soon as he pulls out, it's going to start going backwards again. Yep. Nice through there. Going to be pressuring this group. And now it's just a question of where do I get by? Probably again the hairpin. I'm always going to get a good run up this hill. Not really looking close enough. I think this is the lap when, remember ages ago I was saying about how I backed off a bit into this chicane because there was a group of cars in front and they all went through cleanly and I lost a bit of ground. So look what happens this time when I don't back off. I couldn't really avoid that, you're pretty committed at that point. Luckily that wasn't a penalty, but we lost a lot of ground there. And stuff like that as well when you've been fuel saving is doubly annoying because you sacrifice time early in the race by fuel saving and stuff so that you can be faster later, but when something like that happens and you suddenly lose like 3-4 seconds just, you know, like that, it suddenly means that there was no point to you making that early sacrifice because, you know, any time that you might have made up is now negated by that incident that was completely out of your hands. Nearly into the back of him there, just misjudged my braking point a little bit, which again lost a bit of ground there. So yeah, quite a few mistakes this race, certainly not a clean race. But it was mainly that penalty, wasn't it, which was a shame. And you know, I'd say I think I deserve it. It's unfortunate, but I think it's deserved. You know, sometimes you do get penalties for stuff that's unfortunate, but you know, I reckon that's evidence of the system working, to be honest, in my opinion. And in fact, this whole race, I'd say, is evidence of it working quite well. There's been plenty of little contacts here and there, no penalty, and then that one time when I do overcook it on the brakes and hit someone into a corner, he didn't get a penalty from what I could tell, and I did, so yes, from all I've seen it's working pretty well so far. Well, certainly much better than how it was, so I'm sure there's plenty of people going to be moaning about their penalties still, but I think at this point the system's pretty good and you need to maybe perhaps start looking inwards a little bit, and just see if you can do anything to avoid them. Because, for example, that one ruined my race, but we've gone back and analysed it, and I could have just braked harder sooner, and it wouldn't have happened. So, yeah, I think it's a big step forwards in the right direction. Now they just need to sort out all the connectivity problems, don't they? That's the next one. Well, we've got until Wednesday. That's the next round, round 5. I've not looked at what they are yet, but I've got a few days to try and sort stuff out. keep closing these cars. They seem to have good pace this race. Just, yeah, maybe if I'd have just spent a little bit of time practicing, we could have maybe strung something together a bit better, but never mind. And I think that's a lot of the reason why they put them both on the same day, because it is really hard to do them both, and if you're going to spend time practicing them as well, it's every afternoon certainly is a write-off. I think the idea is that you don't practice them too much. Obviously, the more you practice, the better, but I think PD are stretching you like that to just make the cream rise to the top, you know. So it's difficult for everyone to perform well in both races, but I think that's part of the reason they've done it. A lot of people say, no, you know, why have they done it both on the same day? It's stupid, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, I don't think they haven't done it deliberately, you know. Just try and think a little bit more about it and think why they might have done it like that. And you know, I think it's to make it harder. I think it's deliberate. Alright, any more positions up for grabs? We should be reeling that McGann in. He's going to be struggling on his tyres probably by this stage. Yeah, the reason I outbrake myself there, it's just the closing speed, the difference in closing speed between me and him just into that corner is pretty big, so yeah, I can understand why I outbrake myself looking at that now, on that, whichever lap it was. It wasn't the last lap I don't think, but yeah, you saw the closing speed there. We're just entering that corner possibly 5 miles an hour faster than he is, well not the corner but the braking zone. Makes a big difference. Quite get underneath him here. Hang back here. You see how far back I hung? Right, we're going to be in the slipstream onto the last lap. So, probably looking at maybe having a shot into turn 1. Yep, we're looking. Oh yeah, I missed the braking point by a mile. Sums up my evening. Right, well there you go, that was pretty much my round 4 of manufacturers. Just mind get out of that guy's way, let him through. So here we go, across the line, 14th. Not brilliant, but we'll take the points, you know. Just trying to get the rounds in sometimes now. Because yeah, like I say, it's hard to do both races, so pretty rubbish. But there you go guys, so that was my round 4 of the manufacturers. I hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you all in the next one. Alright, cheers guys, bye.